Hey there, welcome to my video for today, and my project today is going to be a mishmash using a lot of different stamp sets and a lot of different colors. I just really wanted to play with my stamps and new ink pads, so it really is kind of like a freestyle session where I spent like 2.5 hours of just having a great time messing around with different combinations of things. But for you, I've condensed it down so it's about 21 minutes. And I also show it at about double speed. So the stamp sets that I ended up using were Textured Florals, which is brand new in the catalog. Also Dainty Delights, Sentimental Park, Country Bouquet, and Artistically Inked. And the colors I ended up using were Bubble Bath, Fresh Freesia, Melon Mambo, Berry Burst, Highland Heather, Azure Afternoon, Pretty Peacock, Old Olive, Lemon Lime Twist, and Daffodil Delight. And on the left is my inspiration for tonight's card. This was a card that I made a month or so ago using a lot of retired stamps and colors. So this is Lisa Goodell, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I just want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment and any questions that you might have as we go along. Let's get started. So first I just wanted to get a little color on my piece of cardstock. So I'm using Bubble Bath and Fresh Freesia. And the stamp I'm using is from the Artistically Inked. Next, I'm going to get out the Textured Floral stamp set. And I wanted to do a light background stamp. And so that's Fresh Freesia that I am doing the flower there with. And I'm stamping it off one time on the grid paper before I stamp it on the cardstock to get a lighter shade. Next, I'm going to do the two-step stamping. So the green leaves there are going to be the lemon lime twist. And then I will add some pink flowers to that in a minute. And I'm going to add that using the Bubble Bath ink pad. And now I'm adding some centers with the Berry Burst. Give it a little pop of color. Now I'm using that really cool background stamp of the Artistically Inked with some more Bubble Bath to just give another light layer in the background. Now I'm going to do a larger flower from the Textured Floral set. And I kind of wanted this kind of dark to really, to pop out. So just trying to decide, which color do I want it with? So I did a little bit of stamping off before doing some background ones, and then I decided, well, maybe I'm just going to go ahead and do one full strength, which might have been a mistake. I was trying to have a little two color effect, like the light pink and then the really dark Berry Burst on front. Eventually I end up covering this up a little bit because I just wasn't sure if that was a little bit too much, but it is nice to have it kind of in the background. So now I'm going to add that little splatter stamp in Pretty Peacock to bring in another color that's a little bit darker. And also in that same color, I'm using a kind of branch or twig stamp from the Dainty Delight set. And next I'm going to jump to a cluster of flowers stamp from Sentimental Park, and I'm doing that in the Azure Afternoon, just bringing in more layers of color and texture. And here's another little texture stamp, and that was stamped in Highland Heather. And this next sentiment stamp, Dear Friend, is also stamped in Highland Heather. And I'm just stamping that lightly in the background. I'm not wanting that to be the focal point of the sentiment on the card front. Next, I took some little outline flower dies from the Sentimental Park, and I used that on just white paper. And then I'm going to use that kind of like a mask, I believe you would call it. And I'm putting that on the edge, and I'm trying to hold it in place there, and I'm using the Stampin' Blends brush to just rub a little bit of background color over the top. it didn't end up working all that great, but then I just added a little more blue and pink as well. But it also gave color to these little flower pieces, and I'm going to use those in a separate area on this card in a little bit. Oh, and right there you can see I got a little dark spot. Now I'm just trying to see how I can cover up that little spot where I rubbed a little bit too dark. So I'm going to end up covering that up with some flowers. I'm not going to ditch the whole thing just because I don't like that one little section. Next, I decided to add a little leafy sprig from the Country Lane Bouquet stamp, and that I'm doing with Old Olive. And I'm going to add a little bit more bubble bath, little light pink background here and there. Just I want to leave some empty blank space, but I want to add just a touch of color to it. And now I want to add some more colors to those little flower outlines. I feel like there needs to be a little contrasting color, so I'm trying to get a nice shade of either yellow or orange or pink to add in on the page in the form of these dimensional flower dies. So I'm just kind of coloring them and arranging them. Some of them are still kind of the blue color from what I did before. And I'm just playing around with it, seeing what I like. But before I glue any of those on, I do want to do a big sentiment. And I'm going to be working on that in a minute with a big die cut sentiment. That's going to come from the Wanted to Say die set, and that has a bunch of sayings that you can die cut both the words and then a background layer separately, so you can layer them on top of each other. And so I'm going to be using the sentiment, "You're too kind," but this die set also comes with "Happy Birthday," "Feel Better Soon," and "Celebrate." So it's a great set to have for lots of different occasions. And so what I did is I die cut that in both layers in white. I could have die cut it in the colors that I wanted, which ended up being the lemon lime twist for the background and then the berry burst for the front. But I kind of just wanted it to be a little softer and not trying to get it super even all the way across. And so I just thought that that might be a little more interesting than just having the solid color cardstock. And so you can see there I'm starting to line up the lettering on top of the background, and then I'll need to glue it on. Only I'm just kind of playing with it now. Before I actually attach it to the page, I am using my Wink of Stella glitter brush right now, and I find that that really shows up good on darker colors, and so I am coloring in the berry burst wording with glitter, and then I'm also going over all those little flowers that I had made different colors. And so I'm hoping that that glitter will show up and look pretty cool. So while I'm working on that, I just also want to say that you can scroll down beneath the video to the description, and I will have a list of all the measurements that I used, as well as a supply list for everything that I used in the card. And please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. I've been bringing out one video a week, and the school year is coming to a close, so I hope to be doing more lives and more videos over the summer months. You might also notice that up in the corner of all my videos I have a host code, and what that means is that if you want to be my customer and shop with me, then you can earn free stuff from me. First, you need to click the link to shop with me. So when it comes up on the Stampin' Up! Website, up on the top, it says Shopping with Lisa Cadell. And then you also would put in this host code so that you would get credit per se with me. So I know that you bought from me, and then you get free stuff from me. And the host codes last for about a month. And so that's why each month there will be a new host code. And it also up there says shop with me and get a shopping spree. And so what that means is what I'm doing for everyone that uses the host code. If you purchase at least $25 online with my host code, then I'm going to send you a hand stamped card made by me. And for this year, you can get a point for every $25 spent. And I'm calling this my rewards club. And if you go to the link on my website, you can get all the details on the rewards club. And then you would just fill out a form that basically gives the date that you ordered and the amount that you spent. And you get a point for each time you spend between $25 and $49.99. You get a point. And then once you've earned 10 points, then you submit the form to me, and then you get $25 worth of completely free stuff that I will get for you. And all that is just to thank you for choosing me to be your demonstrator. So now getting back to our project, I just pulled out 2 markers, Melon Mambo and Berry Burst, and I put some Berry Burst ink on that rose and I stamped it off, and now I'm just scribbling in a little bit with each marker to just give it some variation before I stamp it on a piece of scrap white paper, and then I will die cut it out. Oh, but first I'm going to add a little blue center to the flower using Azure Afternoon. For a second here, I'm just going to look at some different colors of blue, what I might like to layer it with, and see if that will go with my boho blue textured ribbon. There's a lot going on with the stamping on this card, so I do want to add a little bit of ribbon, but I want to just keep it simple. So I'm just going to take a couple little pieces and fold them in half at an angle. And I have covered up that really dark flower with the other one that's a lighter color. I like having the dark pink show in the background, but I do like having it a little lighter in front. So now I want to go ahead and stamp a few leaves and die cut those out so those can also be added to that lighter flower that I'm going to pop up on top of the ribbon. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and play some music and not do so much talking. I think assembling some of this together is pretty self-explanatory. However, I will pause the music and throw in a comment or two here and there. Right here, I'm going to use the press and seal to keep everything together as I adhere it. If you are not familiar with that, I do have a detailed tutorial that I will put a link right here on the video you can click on to go watch, and I'll also put a link in the description. So the end measurements for this stamped layer is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Now the base layer is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and then I score it at 4 1/4. So when you fold it all up, that bottom layer is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But I'm going to go ahead and put a blue layer in between for a nice border. So I'm going to cut that at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inches. Now you don't have to do this next part, but I went ahead and got one of the decal dies, and so I'm going to cut that out of the border just to save on paper, and then I will have another piece of paper to use for a different project. But when I was doing this, I was thinking, oh, you could put that blue on top of the stamped image instead of on the bottom. Then it would be more like a frame instead of a bottom layer. And there you can see I'm just finishing up with a little more Wink Estella to add some glitter. You might see that I had some in color dots or gems added as well. And I just want to thank you for watching.